Today we have something really cool to unbox and test out. It is a thermal monocular. So this is the TTS260 from Teslong. It's a thermal monocular they sent for us to test out. Thanks so much to them for sending. This is about $600 as of the filming of this video. And I really love the idea of thermal technology. I've seen people use stuff like this and it's been super cool. So at night, basically you can see heat signatures. I think, yeah, during the day you can see it too, but it can help you find birds you wouldn't otherwise see and just other wildlife. So I've been waiting to get my hands on something like this. I've heard that the stuff that's not as expensive, we're talking like for some of the brands, $4,000 for one of these, that they don't do as well, but this is the first one we've ever tried. So I'm excited to see if it'll work. 600 compared to 4,000 is a big difference, but 600 is still a lot. So let's see how this works. It looks pretty cool. The packaging is nice and sleek. So let's open it up and get it out in the field and see if we can find any birds at night. So we'll pop it open. So it comes in a nice case. There is a cord. This is a USB. I was thinking maybe it's like an HDMI. There's a safety warning in here too. And then we have another cord. There's a little return label if something's wrong. A little guide and then a safety warning. Let's check out that safety warning real quick. So this is kind of like be safe kind of stuff. Not anything out of the ordinary. Like don't expose it to wet conditions while charging. I don't think there's anything too crazy in here. Don't try to alter it. Don't point it at people's eyes, basically. Oh, this is for stuff with lasers. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking there was gonna be something major in here. It looks pretty standard to what you might expect. Here's our two cords. And then kind of the guide. I like the case. Case looks good. It's got a carabiner on it. Wow, it's a little chunkier than I thought it would be. So here's our monocular. It says, oh yeah, so it says class 3R laser product. Do not stare into beam. Do not aim at aircraft. It looks really cool though. So I'm assuming this is where you look. And this is, where the image is. It'll be interesting to see if we can get a view through here to kind of accurately show what it's like. Let's see if it comes on. Probably have to charge it first. Looks like there's probably a tripod attachment. There's a micro SD card in here, so it comes with that. That's nice. It's a 16 gigabyte. So I'm assuming it's not charged yet. So let's charge it up and then we'll get out and test it. So we're gonna test out the thermal monocular. Lighting is gonna be bad just because it's outside, but I haven't looked through it yet, so we're gonna get kind of like a first look, just see kind of what it looks like. It should be all charged up. Oh, okay. So there's a knob on the left that you use to focus. Looks like there's a rock in the back of the yard. Let me see if I can record so you can see. I think I took a picture. But there's a rock in the back of the yard that has a high heat signature. It is pretty cool. I did not see any little blobs that could be birds yet. Is that a rabbit? I think I got a rabbit chilling in the back. Just different heat modes. It's pretty cool. Oh, I can zoom in. Oh yeah, it's definitely a rabbit. I'll snap some pictures. I don't know if I can actually take video with it. It's gonna be a rabbit blob. Let's check the rest of the yard out. Looks like maybe the stones are holding on to their heat. It's pretty cool to be able to see the rabbit though. Seems like it's pretty good at seeing things that are large, like, the rabbit, relatively speaking. But I don't know how it'll work for smaller birds. I don't see any. So we'll have to do some more testing and see if we can see some smaller critters. Had my first test with the thermal monocular last night. I do feel like the buttons are a little hard to press. Like you really have to push them down to get them to turn on. But you got the power button. If you press it again, it has a little green laser light. The magnifying glass zooms you in. And then the color palette button changes kind of the mode. And then this button down here takes a picture. Now I was thinking that you could take videos, but you actually can just take pictures with it. And then this is the focus down here. The setting I've been using the most is where most things are grayscale, and then the actual image, the heat is red. And last night I was able to find a rabbit in the yard, which is pretty cool. Snapped some images of that. Not sure how great the images turned out, but it was neat to find it. So this is, if you're using it for birding, this is going to be mostly for finding things, not necessarily recording media. And then this morning in the light, because I can see where things are, because I didn't see much except for the rabbit. I thought maybe we'd see birds roosting or something like that. But I used it today to just search around the yard where I can see birds. And that worked really well because there were a couple mourning doves sitting on the rocks that I didn't see, but I found them with the thermal, and then I was able to get some images with the camera. So I have kind of a comparison of things I found with the thermal or things I saw with the thermal, and then what the camera could pick up then. So I feel like that's really your best bet with this, is using it to find birds and then getting media with something else. You can get pictures, but I really like to get video. I tried to kind of digiscope in here and it didn't look that great, but I can show you kind of what that looked like, but the quality is much better through here looking than, that digiscoped image. But it was pretty sweet to be able to locate things and use this and go, oh, there's something over there, and then look and be like, oh, it's two mourning doves. So that's been fun so far. I'd like to take it out one more time at night and see if we can find like a great horned owl or something, because I feel like that would be what I would most like to use this for, is finding owls or other birds at night and then being able to get my camera on them and then get some media. But it's been cool. I'm glad it's able to pick up the small animals like the birds. So I decided I want to try the thermal monocular out on some woodcocks at night, see if we can find them a little easier. But there's some killdeer here in this field, so during the day I want to see if this makes it easier to find them. Originally they were pretty close, so they were easy to see, but now I've lost them. So let's see if we can use this to find these killdeer. I do notice with the thermal, there's, it almost makes like an adjusting noise. I don't know if something's calibrating. So I do not actually see them, so I wonder if they may have actually moved on. One thing I did notice is if you're far away, like there's some grackles in this tree behind me, and I'm not a crazy distance away, but they don't really show up much as heat. So you can't really, you can see that something is there, but it's not really showing up in a different color. So I do feel like your range is kind of limited here. But I want to get a killdeer where I know where it is so I can see if this is going to pick it up or not. So we are actually able to see the killdeer through this. I was able to find one sitting, and it just looks like a bright red dot. So we are able to see the killdeer with this. And I snapped a couple pictures so you can kind of see what it's like. It's really hard to, I don't know how much that picture is going to be like the actual view. There's really not a ton of, background definition, but we can see that bright red spot of that killdeer. So it is useful for that. So right down here is our camouflage killdeer that we wouldn't have been able to find without the thermal. So that's pretty useful. And the definition of it is pretty blobby. It just kind of looks like a little blob, but we were able to find it. And that's one of the benefits of the thermals, is helping to find camouflage birds in addition to those at night. So it was awesome to be able to find the killdeer. Now we're going to wait for the woodcocks. One of the things I do notice with this, like I mentioned earlier, is the range isn't that great. And I think it's, because the stuff is so small and the heat signature is not very big, it's really hard to see birds that are perched up in trees. It does feel to me like it's made more for mammals. I feel like it's better picking up mammals or fairly close birds. So we'll see how it works for the woodcocks. As the light faded, we were able to find a woodcock in flight with the thermal, as well as one making its painting call. So the thermal did what it was supposed to do. We were able to see the woodcocks, and it was pretty evident that they were there. I do feel like it almost looks a little blurry sometimes. There were also some deer that we spotted in the distance as well, and I do feel like the mammals show up better. But it was awesome to see the woodcock. Tried to snap some pictures. The buttons on it are really hard to press though, and so even when you're taking a picture, it feels like it kind of moves the whole thing. So I wish they were more smooth. It's not going to give you the most definition, and it's not going to be the clearest, but you are able to see heat. So we are able to do some birding with it. I feel like at long range, it doesn't pick up the heat as well, or it's harder to see it. And it definitely isn't as clear, but it is workable. So I've gotten to test out the Testlong thermal monocular for quite a few days now. And overall, it is able to spot hot spots. I feel like it works best for mammals and things that are larger and closer. So once you get further away, since the birds are smaller, the hot spots kind of don't show up as well. So if there's a bird right in your face, or like with the killdeer we had, it was right there. And so you could see it pretty well with this and you could find it. But once those birds get further away, the hotspot detection, it's a lot harder. And with higher end thermal monoculars, they will be able to pick that up better than this one has. But it is able to spot the heat when the conditions are right, and especially with things that are larger. One thing I dislike is that the buttons are so hard to press. Like, you really got to press it down to get it to turn on. I also wish it took video. It's nice that you can snap pictures, but also in some of the pictures, it looked like the little focus crosshairs are in the picture and it kind of covers the hotspot up. That might be something you can turn off, I'm not sure. But I was kind of like, I'm taking a picture to see the thing that I'm taking the picture of, and then there's a crosshair covering it sometimes, so you can't really see it very well. We were able to spot birds with this and find some cool species. So it's doing what we want it to do. When you look through it, it is a little blurrier than some higher end thermal stuff. So I have now gotten to test some of the really expensive things, and the definition is just so ridiculously clear. But that's like a nearly $4,000 product, where this is a $600 product. So if you want something to test out and be able to pick up some hot spots, have fun with your backyard and your neighborhood, this is definitely a cool option. I think when you test the really expensive stuff, it is tough to then compare this to that. If you just had this, like when I started with it, it was, wow, this is so cool. I can see heat. It's working really well. There's different color settings. Awesome. And then when you try the really expensive stuff, you're like, wow, there's a big range of what a thermal product can be. But I think, for the price, it does what it claims to do. When we look at the manual, I'm sure the first priority for this wasn't birds either. But it says supports observation, hotspot tracking, which it does. It has a laser, so laser indication, image capture, and so on. The high sensitivity built-in thermal detector provides you with a clear view even in total darkness. Typically used for hunting, patrolling, law enforcement, search and rescue, hike, and travel. There's also a mini HDMI port in here too. So I feel like overall this does what it says it does. But like I was saying, once you get the spectrum of those different kind of thermal products, you will see a difference, and it is kind of based on price, it seems. So, the things that are lower in price, they're not going to be as clear as the things that are higher in price, but that price point is kind of, the difference there, I would assume, for most things. But it's been really cool to test out, and thanks to Testlong for sending it. Have you guys ever tried any of the thermal stuff? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.